Hi everyone. This video is on how to do walkthroughs. When we're learning to program, one of the things that we want to do is we want to learn to read a program. And when you read a program, it isn't as simple as like reading a book. We have to be very careful. We can't skip to the end. We actually have to read it through from beginning, one step at a time. And we have to also keep track of what's happening in our program. So this method that I'm going to show you today is on how we would go about doing this in an organized way, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so this program consists of a single function called main. And what I've done here is I've created a section that says main over here. And in the main function, I see that there are three variables, A, B, and C. So I've created a variable to keep track of the values of these three variables. As A, B, and C changes, I'm going to actually change what's in my table. Okay, so this is a very typical method of how to do this. And whenever you do a walkthrough, this is what you should start with. You should start by having a table that will keep track of all your variables. Now, I've also divided my area, my rough work, my output area into, there's a rough work section, and I also have an output section over here. So if I need to do some calculations, I might write it here. Now, if I run out of space, I'm going to actually go to the next page. But for now, I'm going to try to write it all here. Okay. And down here, I have an output area where I will print out whatever I'm supposed to print out to the screen. Okay, so it's always a good idea to have a separate area for your output so that it's not lost in your rough work. Okay, so always make yourself a little output area when you're doing your walkthroughs. Okay, let's get started. So, starting at the beginning of main, the first thing that we see is that we have this variable declaration for A. A is equal to 5. So what I do with that is that in my table, A is going to have the number 5 in it. Then we have B is equal to 10. And so now we're going to put the number 10 under the B in the table. And then we have the variable C. And C is initialized to A plus B. So A plus B here refers to these two variables whose values are 5 and 10. So if I add 5 and 10 together, I'm going to end up with 15. So this is where I start. I'm going to start with 5, 10, and 15. Okay. Next step is we're going to now go to this printf statement. Okay, so printf is essentially a fill in the blank statement. That's the easiest way to think about it. So I have A equals %D, B equals %D, C equals %D. Now, every time I see %D, what we're going to do is we're going to essentially treat it like a blank. And what we fill that blank in with is the variables that are following this format string. Okay, so the double quotes create this format string. So my output is going to look like this, but I don't know what these things are. It depends on the values of the things that follow. A, because it's listed first, goes into the first blank. B, because it's listed second, goes into the second one. And C goes into the third one. So it's not because I have A equals here, that's why I put the value of A in here. It's because A is listed first and this is the first blank. Okay, so in any case, let's see what this output would be. So I have A equals, now I'm supposed to be filling this in. I'm going to do that in a moment, comma, then there's B equals something, and then comma, and then C equals, and then something else, and then we have a new line, which means that if I do more output, it will go on the next line. Okay. Now A, the value of A is going to be put in this position. So A happens to be the number 5. So I'm going to put the number 5 here. B is the second value, so it's going to go into the second blank. and so B is equal to 10. And finally, we have C. C, this blank right here, and C goes into that blank. So this this will be 15. Okay, so my first line of output is A equals 5, B equals 10, C equals 15. So next, we're going to do some calculations. A is equal to A plus 8 in brackets modulus 3. So the way that I like to do this sort of math is I like to actually just walk through each of the operators in the order of operations, based on the order of operations, okay? So my expression is A is equal to A plus 8 modulus 3. Now, A, if I take a look at what A is right now, A is the number 5. So I'm actually going to replace this A with the number 5. And now I'm going to make the calculations. So brackets always comes first. So we're going to do the brackets. So 5 plus 8 is 13. 13 modulus 3. Okay, so my expression is now A equals to 13 mod 3. So what's that? Well, this is what the remainder of the division of 13 by 3. So 13 divided by 3 is 1, with 1 left over. So the remainder is going to be 1. So A is equal to 1. So once I've gotten to this point, I'm just going to do that to my table. So I'm going to say, oh, well, A is now 1. So make that change to the table because we've made that calculation, okay? Next, we have B is plus equals A plus A plus A. Okay, so let's do that next, okay? Now, I am going to apparently run out of space, so I'm going to write it underneath the table, okay? So B plus equals, so this is just more rough work. B plus equals A plus A plus A. Okay, now what is that? So A is now 1. So this is 1 plus 1 plus 1. So because I made a change to A, its new value is 1. When I do the calculations, I'm not going to go back to this 5. I'm just going to use the updated value for A. And so this ends up being, oops, sorry. Uh, let's fix that. uh, B plus equals 3. So plus equals means I add 3 to whatever B is. So this is like saying B is equal to B plus 3. Okay, so this is the um, same as B equals to B plus 3. That's what it is. So sorry, not 7, B plus 3. And B right now is 10, so 10 plus 3 is 13. And so B is equal to 13. Okay, so B plus equals 3 ends up making this 13. Okay, so there we go. Now, last one, C is equal to B times 2 divided by 7. So I guess I could do that here. C is equal to B times 2 divided by 7. Okay, so what is that? Well, B is equal to 13. So C is equal to 13 times 2 divided by 7. 13 times 2 is 26 divided by 7. What's that? Well, 26 divided by 7 is, so 3 times 7 is 21. So that means that it's 3. Um, so this is 20, so 3 times 7 is 21. Um, so this divides evenly at 3. If I try to divide 26 by 7, it's going to work out to 3 point something something something. Like it's not 4 because 4 times 7 is 28. So I don't quite hit 4. It's 3 point something. But because this is integer math, I actually don't care about the decimal places. I just lop them off. Okay, so whenever you do integer division, which is what this is, it's one integer divided by another integer, we don't deal with the decimal places at all. We just basically chop them off. We don't round up, by the way. That's also really important because this is closer to 28 than it is closer to 21. So if we were doing this like by rounding, we would go up to 28, but we don't do that, okay? So with integer division, you just do the division and you chop off all the decimal places, okay? So that's how you do it. Uh, so C is actually equal to 3. So that's what we're going to put over here. C is equal to 3. And now, what's the output? Okay, so we're going to do exactly what we did before. We have A equals, we have B equals, and we have C equals, and we put each of the variables according to their position. So A goes into the first blank, and A is 1. B goes into the second blank, B is 13. And C goes into the third blank, and C is 3. Oops. Now, that's pretty much it for this walkthrough because we're now at return 0, so we're done. So I know that some of you look at this and go, I didn't need to keep track of this whole table thing. Just, it's pretty straightforward, right? And perhaps on this particular walkthrough, this is maybe a little bit too much rough work. But you will find that if you don't do this sort of thing, um, as your programs get more and more complicated, it will become harder and harder for you to sort of just write the number down beside or something like that. You actually really do need a method to keep track of everything. So this is what we're recommending, and I think this will be really useful to do. Okay, so in any case, that's it for this video. Thank you.